Welcome to RainbowSoul Vodcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and LeKross's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to RainbowSoul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else RainbowSoul is offered on our website at RainbowSoul.show.
Welcome to Soulstrology Astrology Forecast, and I am Hollis Taylor. I am one of your astrologers here today. I do lots of different kinds of personal readings. You can easily go to my website and book one with me if you'd like a private reading. I also do synastry and as well as death charts, essentially not when you're going to die, because none of us are blessed with that. Actually, it's about when someone does die. I can help you look back and figure out what was going on for them at the time and what the meaning of that is. What was the meaning of this death at this time for you and for them? And, you know, past life connections and future lives, those kinds of things. It can really help with the grief process, really help you sort of process forward. So that's what I offer. And you can find my link in the description. And
hi there, I'm Bright Hawk. I'm an artist, author, astrologer. You can learn more about me at brighthawkproductions.com. It's always a pleasure to be with you again.
Hi, I'm LeKross Ortiz. I am the creator of A Fool's Journey Color Journal. I'm kind of all over. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and working on a couple of things and hopefully be excited to share that in the future.
Awesome. So glad to have you back, LeKross. Good grief. Last week was kind of crazy. It was very Mercury retrograde for sure.
100%.
And I was thinking about it. I was like, we all three are probably affected by Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, when it first starts, I think it's when most of us feel it a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to suggest that we do a little bit of a meditation to come into our here and now. Get yourself settled in your seat. Close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath. Breathe in and just come into peace in your body and in this moment. And imagine the beautiful night sky. Shining bright in front of you, with lots of stars and just a little crescent moon. And you start to notice one particular constellation. And this constellation starts to stand out. It starts to pull out from all the other stars. And you recognize this as the constellation of Taurus, reminding you with the icon of the bull's head, reminding you of the feelings of Taurus, of slow and steady, going forward, loyalty, unchanging energy, moving forward into exactly where we're to be, but nice and slow and steady. Feel energy moving closer to you, getting bigger. And as that bull's head gets a little bit bigger, you recognize two planets with each other, directly at the same space, on top of each other. You recognize these two planets as Uranus and Jupiter. Uranus talking to you, pointing to your path, highlighting your path, telling you which way to go. And Jupiter, the luck, the beneficial planet of luck and money, especially in Taurus. Taurus reminds us of our luxuries, of all of our needs met, and much, much more. Of feeling like you have everything you need, and all the things that you want are within your reach. And Jupiter helping to bring those things to you, while Uranus keeps you on your path, keeping you as unique and as authentic as you are meant to be, helping to express that divine authenticity within you. It's begging to be expressed, and Uranus helps pull it out, pulling out that energy that puts you on your path, and Jupiter blessing it by helping you to meet all of your needs. Take a deep breath. Embrace your path. Know and trust that the universe is leading you to exactly where you're supposed to be, to exactly what's to be happening for you right now. Embrace your path. Embrace the unexpected changes. Be willing to be delightfully surprised. As these planets disappear into the constellation, and the constellation begins to move itself back up into the cosmos, into the sky, you recognize that the cosmos are always working for the better. They are always trying to help us. And as you step forward, you recognize the gift of listening to the cosmos. And you take a deep breath and allow yourself to come back into the present. Back into the here and now. Start to feel your feet on the floor, your bottom in the seat. Take a deep breath and open your eyes and become present in the here and now. Great job, Bright Hawk. Well done.
Well, thank you very much. That was a very nice meditation. I really traveled with that. Ooh, that was
Are we
cool.
ready? Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Even though my dog had to shake it off, it's just because he's headed on his path too. If you ever wondered, someone asked me this week, do animals experience the cosmos like we are, like the astrology of things? And I'm like, oh yeah, they sure do. They go through the changes just like we do. It's just different for them, you know.
We're all Earthlings.
Yeah, we're all
Having an
Earthlings.
experience of the stars.
I even think plants do, and that's why, like, on the day after the eclipse, I planted my seeds. Oh my gosh.
The universe is applauding you for planting your seeds, I think.
Yeah, it's weird when Zoom does that weird thing. Anyway, so I think that's why it's important to, like, plant your seeds, water your plants, repot your plants. I'm still going to work on all of that. It's got to happen. So I just think that those kinds of things, I think they hear it. I think the trees hear it. I think the animals hear it, feel it. I think that animals and plants and the earth generally is shifting with the cosmos, but in ways that maybe we don't always understand. Agreed. And that's why sometimes, like, all of a sudden, there'll be an earthquake, or I think the earthquake happened at the lunar eclipse, didn't it?
The solar eclipse.
It happened at the solar?
Yeah, like the day before.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so, you know, and think about it. It's like we're shifting. And, you know, I think the planet is also shifting. And so, yes, the answer is yes. Your animals feel it, your cats, your dogs, your birds, your lizards, whatever kind of pets you might have, your fish probably too. They probably just experience different things, right? So my dog was probably experiencing a shift too, right? Because he's finally arrived in being a really amazing dog. So, yeah, because, you know, he didn't have a great start, just like many of us, and I helped him heal that trauma, and now that he's healed, he really is.
He's a great dog.
He's a really great dog. So, so, you know, those kinds of things. Animals, they experience trauma. They have to heal from trauma. All of those things are true.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a little bit different than us. That's all. All right, my friends. Well, let's take a look at this week. Have you survived the solar eclipse and the rapture, by the way?
Yeah.
Bad.
We were talking before the show started about how for some folks it's the solar eclipse is more intense, and for other folks it's the lunar eclipse. You know, one can be profoundly positive feeling and the other one can be profoundly challenging feeling. So let us know in the comments, and thanks so much for the folks who have been commenting and sharing and liking. We really appreciate it. It really helps a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's great to have a conversation with you all about what was your experience. Are the majority of you feeling like, yeah, I'm feeling really good, or
And it would be interesting to know, like, what's in Aries for you, or what house does Aries rule for you, because since that's where the solar eclipse was, and of course the lunar eclipse was in Libra. And now this week we're going to really be focused on Taurus. You know, that's really what's going to be happening this week. It's the next zodiac sign, so the zodiacs are kind of set up in like a seasonal thing, and if you take a look at them, it will help you understand them, you know? So I don't know if you understand these symbols on the outside in the golden circle, but that's essentially what they represent. They represent a variety of zodiac, and they're always in the same order. Okay, so just a by the way, in case you didn't notice, if you're a new astrologer, they're always in the same order because they all represent different seasons. Okay, so Aries is a cardinal sign. It means it kicks off the season. Okay, and so is Libra is also a cardinal. So is Cancer. They're all cardinals. Okay, and so is Cancer, and then, Libra and Capricorn, right? So each one of them, if you think about when they happen, so like Capricorn season's at the beginning of the year, it's in January, it's like at the late December, early January, and that's winter, right? And then we get into Taurus, and now we're like in spring, and then in Gemini? No, Cancer. Cancer is middle of the summer, right? And I'm sorry, the beginning of summer. So that's like the beginning of summer, okay? And then we have Libra, which is the beginning of autumn, okay? So like those, they're seasons, okay? So we're moving from Aries, which is a cardinal sign, into Taurus, which is Aries into Taurus, which is more of a fixed sign. And the reason we call it fixed is because it's in the middle of the season. Nothing is changing. It's not the beginning of the season. It's not the end of the season. It's in the middle. It's fixed. It also implies that these people are more fixed. People with strong placements in fixed signs will experience more resistance to change. Okay, but they can also be way more loyal and stick to things. I notice people with strong Taurus placements, if they start a habit, they're probably never going to stop doing it unless they discover it's not good for them. Okay, and then they'll hopefully, if they're on point, they'll switch it to something else, and they'll recognize that they have the ability to keep up good habits. Okay, so will other fixed signs, Scorpio, Aquarius, they'll be able to keep doing good habits. Okay, so where Aries will get us out of the gate, but they'll kind of tick off once we get going. Okay, so that's kind of what happens. And so if you ever wondered, and I don't think any one is better than the other, I know our culture tends to imply that being fixed and keeping the same habit or staying loyal and those kinds of things are always good. I don't think anything is always good. Like, think about it. Most of us have been loyal to a point where we're like, okay, that was too loyal. I needed to leave 6 years ago, right? Okay, most of us have had that experience. And there are some times where we probably need to stick to things longer, or sometimes that it's great that we just kicked it off but didn't stick with it. Okay, so, and those people are great for bringing in good ideas. And mutable, they're meant to change. Those are the people at the end of the season, and that's like Sagittarius, okay, and Virgo. And they're at the end of the season, and they tend to Gemini, they tend to like sort of change with it.
Pisces.
Okay, and it's really helpful to understand that. You can easily look it up. Just look up the I think it's called the quality, not the mode. I think it's also known as the mode. So you can just look up zodiac mode cheat sheet, and you'll find one, and you'll see cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And that's what you're looking for. It's really easy to find, and it really helps you understand more about each one of the zodiac, okay? Especially as we get into this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction this week. So,
I had a quick question.
Go for it.
Would the degrees, how it's 30, would that actually be very similar? Like the first 10 degrees is a certain way, the second 10 degrees is a certain way, and the third?
Yeah, that actually refers to what we call the decadence.
Yeah.
So there's 30 degrees in each sign is what LeKross is saying. And each one of those are separated into 3 decadents. And they say, like, for instance, in the later degrees of Cancer, it can be of a higher vibration, a higher thinking. So, like, Cancer's in my 9th house, and the 3rd decadent is considered to be like Buddhist and mindfulness and that sort of spirit. So the 9th house rules spirituality. The 1st decadent would be religion. The 2nd decadent is more like a transition between the two, and spirituality and psychic stuff and stuff like that, like sort of higher vibrating stuff. But then the 3rd decadent is more like that mindful thinking, that high sort of new thought, as you will, like I was talking about, new thought that is described by Michael Beckwith. Yeah.
So, fascinating. It's a big next layer in terms of complexity and real specificity on the vibe of, like, why is this so different? Why is a 5 degree so different than a 25 degree? You know, that's when we start to really get into those deep dives of
and they also
the difference
say,
between the decadent and inside that sign.
Right. They also say if the planet is in the last like 3 degrees, so like 27, 28, 29, it actually gets scooted over to the next sign. Not everybody practices that way. I try to look at it both ways. So like my Saturn's at 29 Cancer. So yeah, I am into mindfulness and stuff, but it's on my MC. And the MC is the line that's separating, the line between the 9th and the 10th house. So yeah, I tend to be very loyal and disciplined when it comes to work. I wish I was that disciplined when it came to some other things, but, you know, Spirit's got me all the time, and I just believe in it. And so, you know, and it's not surprised that I have a spiritual business, right? Because Saturn tends to rule work, and it's at the top of there, and you could easily skirt, and it kind of mixes the two. You see what I'm saying? So you have spirituality, and then the 10th house is business, your work in the world. Okay, so I'm mixing the two. I kind of tend to do that when I read. So I do kind of pop the planet over to the other side and then mix that.
Yeah, the flavors. This
makes a flavor of something.
This month is a month of conjunctions. We've talked a lot about conjunctions. We have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, we have the Mars-Saturn conjunction, and then the party in the Aries house, which was all part of the eclipse, the North Node, the Mercury, Venus, Chiron, the Sun. It's a party in Aries. We call that party, the fancy word for it in astrology is when you have 3 or more planets in one sign, we call it a stellium. And the reason why it gets a name is it means because there's like a really big preponderance of energy in that sign, you know. So when there's that much energy, it's like, woo, what have you know, every single person has Aries in their chart. We always talk about this. The wheel has everything. All 12 exists for everybody.
And Mars rules Aries. It's somewhere in your chart.
And so you know, depending on what you've had in Aries or square to Aries or opposite Aries in Libra, all of that energy. And so the squares would be the quarters to Cancer and Capricorn.
And the opposition would, of course, be Libra, which is where the lunar eclipse was.
So when we talk about squares in the chart, squares and oppositions are challenges. Squares are overcomable. Oppositions are exactly what they sound like. You are opposite of me.
So it requires a balance usually. You got to find a balance between the two to resolve it. And sometimes you'll kind of go back and forth between the two expressions.
And sometimes that's where the learning is, right? Where, you know, Aries and all its fire has to learn from Libra's balance. It has to learn balance. Libra in all its balance has to learn initiation and going for it through Aries. So the Aries energy has been all month long. And when we talk about a conjunction, we're talking about conjunct, meaning joining of energies. They're in the same area within a few degrees. So most of us, when we look at conjunctions, we're talking somewhere between an orb. A tight orb would be 5. A standard orb would be 8 degrees. Most of us don't go much past that.
An orb is how far apart are they really?
Good.
How many degrees are they away? So like you can see here by looking at the chart that we have displayed, you can see that the sun is at 26 degrees and then Chiron's at 19. So that means, is the sun and Chiron conjunct? Well, they're 7 degrees apart, right? Okay, but if you look at the next one, Chiron is that little key symbol. Next to that is that purple symbol that kind of looks like the non-binary symbol with the female symbol underneath of it, okay? And that's Mercury. And you can see Mercury's at 19 degrees, but it's red. Red just means it's retrograde. But look, they're conjunct. They're at the same degree. There's no orb there, but there is a 7-degree orb between Chiron and the sun. And then the next symbol over is the north node, and you can see it's at 15 degrees, and Mercury's at 19 degrees. So are they in an orb? Yes, they're at a tighter orb than the sun and Chiron, which are 7 degrees apart, because they're only 4 degrees apart. See? So the closer they are together, the more exact the energy is.
So think if you're thinking about a conversation and you're in the same room around the dining room talking to each other, you're at the same degree, you're in the same room, we're having a conversation, we're very engaged with each other. Then imagine, okay, I'm leaving the table, I'm going to go to the kitchen. I can still hear you, but I'm going to just get another dish. And we're a couple of degrees apart. And now, I can still hear you. And now, oh, I forgot, I need to get a towel. And now I got to walk down the hallway. And now I'm 6 degrees. And I'm still listening. Just wait a second. So you kind of get the idea of the degrees is like, are we still sitting at the dining room table having a really engaged conversation? You're still in conjunction, if you like, this metaphor works well because you're in the same house, right? You might be yelling upstairs to downstairs, but you could still hear each other. Mm-hmm. You can still say, hey, before you go, I need you to know this. Right. That kind of thing, right? So again, when that conversation starts to become more than, say, 10 degrees, you've stepped out of the house. Right. You're now on the front lawn. I might be able to see you, but we're no longer really eye to eye. So
when they're together, their energies mix.
And we have a ton of that this month because we've been talking about Uranus, Jupiter, which is going to perfect in its conjunction. It's going to get whispery, like they're going to be so close, they're going to be whispering in each other's ears. Mars and Saturn are 3 degrees apart. And so it's been, did it perfect last week?
Yeah, I think it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now it's starting to separate just a wee bit. And then Venus is going to be joining the party closely with Mercury this week as well, but it's still a few degrees apart.
Right. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at here, and that's what you're looking at if you can see the chart. If you're watching, you can see, and you can also see that there's a big red triangle that's sort of pointing up around the sun, which is just a circle with a dot in it, and Chiron, right, which are conjunct. They're together. And so is Mercury, and so is the North Node. They're all kind of hanging out in the same place, right? Okay, and they're squaring. See those 2 lines that go down, and it has a little square symbol? That's a square, and that means those are that angle is overcomable. It's changeable. You can learn from it. It's a challenge, but you'll learn from it. So on Monday, you might experience some challenges in relation to change, emotional changes. Maybe a lot of us with the solar eclipse have been working on our our mental health. And so you might get a little bit of a step back, a little bit of a kickback from that, especially in regards to like trauma, or maybe you've been trying to have new habits and then you might fall off on this day, on Monday. But what I want to remind you is just because you fall off the bike doesn't mean you don't get back on. So just get back on. And I love, thinking about it this way, which I think is like the best thing that ever happened to me years ago when I used to fall off all the time of trying to make new habits, is if you didn't brush your teeth on Monday, you wouldn't give up for the rest of the week, would you? most would be like, damn, I didn't brush my teeth last night. I gotta brush my teeth today, right? Okay. And for me, it was actually like, no, I actually didn't learn to brush my teeth, but I did eventually get used to brushing my teeth as an adult, okay? Because I was severely neglected as a child. And so, but then later, when I did apply that, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't just give up on it. I know it's a new habit I'm trying to form. So that's what you need to always remember. So Monday could be a little bit of a test. It could be because you're feeling low. And the reason I'm going to, not low, but maybe feeling very sensitive or having emotions you don't understand, because the moon is in Cancer. And I often find that emotions with moon in Cancer are often like misunderstood, or you don't quite get it. And it's in opposition to Pluto, which is asking you to change. And so there could be some emotions that you can't quite make sense of. And you're like, why do I feel so shitty today? Okay. And so that might be what's going on. You might need to spend a little time being quiet. Go sit in the park on your lunch break. Don't talk to your coworkers. Take a quiet ride. Turn off the music. Take some time to think and have some quiet reflection. That will help you recognize what needs to be recognized so that you can make the change fully. That's all that square, that's what that big T square is all about. It's about healing and figuring out what you have to do to heal that. And since Mercury is involved, I wouldn't be surprised if you needed to talk it out with someone you trust. Okay, so it could be a friend, it could be a partner or a spouse, somebody like that. Just talk it out. It might, sometimes when we say things out loud, we go, oh, and we kind of like process it while we're saying it. And that's very normal, very, very normal. Mm-hmm. So yeah, with that T square there, I would just say that's the biggest energy on Monday. What do you think, Bright Hawk?
Well, the other thing I'm noticing about that T square is Pluto, and that party in Aries has been squaring Pluto for the last several weeks. And while you were talking, I was flashing on, didn't Anne Ortley say Pluto rules the underground? Mm-hmm. Yep. And that when that configuration happens, look out, there could be earthquakes. Mm-hmm. And of course, there was a really big one last week.
Leave it.
I don't need to laugh. I'm glad that that sounds like there were no fatalities. But of course, there were huge earthquakes with fatalities. Was it Taiwan, I think? So Anne has pointed out before that these aspects, and it's the whole world, we're all under the same sky. We are looking at it from different perspectives, for sure. But there are things that are impacting everyone. And so Pluto ruling the underground, and being in a square to the sun, I don't want to say it, I don't mean to sound crass, but it's not surprising. It's actually revealing. Okay. So the moon right now is a waxing moon. As we know, we had the new moon during the solar eclipse, and now the moon is waxing. So hopefully any intentions you set for the new moon, you're tending to your dreams and visions, and maybe you're starting to sow your seeds, because this would be the moon to do that with. And of course, when the moon is in Cancer, it's at home, it's feeling good, it's planting seeds. It's been in a square. It is in a square to the party in Aries. So the Sun, Chiron, Mercury, North Node, Venus and Neptune, because the moon moves pretty quickly. So it's going to start with one and then bing, 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 bing. That's a bit of a challenge. All those planets, and the moon is in a square to it. There could be some conflicted feelings or some strong feelings. Let's put it that way.
It's also in a trine there to Mars and Neptune.
It has a ton. That's right. It's in a trine to Mars and Neptune. It's in a sextile to Uranus and Jupiter, which is all the trines, remember, is the most favorable, blessed aspect in astrology.
It comes so easy, you barely notice it.
You just like, wow, things are going my way today. Woo! And hopefully it goes that way every day. That's what a trine feels like. You don't realize when it's and then when we start to hit the bumps in the road, we're like, where's Mercury? Is it retrograde? We tend to point to certain things when we hit the bumps, right? So trines are lovely energy, and Neptune Mars, that's dreamy action. What are my dreams? What do I want to do about it? What am I, geared up to do? And the sextile to Uranus Jupiter is also very favorable, very sweet, good, positive, lucky, go your way kind of vibe. Now the moon is at the very end of Cancer. So when it has no more aspects, which is at 5:22 Mountain Time, in the evening, on Monday evening, it goes void. What does that mean? Well, when the sun is at the very end of its sign and it no longer has any Ptolemaic aspects, it goes quiet. It's in that last stage of Cancer. It's those last few minutes where I get to be home. Okay, where am I going next? What do I need to pack? Do I have everything I need? Let's just be quiet. Just think about your next journey. Because think about the energy of every time you go to the next sign. You're the moon. You're moving house every 2.5 days. Moving sign, I should say, which is frequently moving house, but some depends on your chart. So the moon goes void in the evening. So take Monday night off. Take a quiet time. What does the void mean? Void of course moon means that the moon is at its weakest. So there's not a lot of energy, and you certainly will want to double check and rethink launching things during a void of course moon. Instead, it's energy to take care of yourself, reflect, meditate. You could exercise or sit under a tree or journal, or it's downtime. It's quieter energy. Now, the other thing I've learned about void of course moons is that if there are things that are happening in your life where you don't want them to have a lot of energy, maybe there's somebody you have to talk to, like a boss, where you're like, God, I just don't want this to be a big frickin' deal. I just want to unload this information, get in, get out. I don't want to have to deal with anything. I want it to be easy. Doing something like that during a void of course moon can be quite to your advantage, because there's no energy for argument. It's like, okay, sounds good, whatever you think. That was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. Woohoo! So I've been learning about this void of course moon, and I think it's really worth knowing about. Not wanting to do things at the wrong time. Wanting to be in the right place at the right time is paying attention to the lunar calendar and the cycles. And so the moon goes quiet Monday evening, and at 8:24 p.m. Mountain Time, it goes into Leo, which is my sign. I'm a 0 Leo moon. So Monday night is my moon.
So Monday night, it will be lighting up my Saturn going, get it going, get it going, get it going.
And of course, when the moon, so it goes from being at home in Cancer, which we talked about. Cancer is initiates the season of summer. So it's a cardinal sign. And of course, it's the moon, so it's a water sign. When it goes into Leo, now and this is why it has to take a moment to go void before it launches into the next thing, because it goes into a fire sign who's fixed. Let's get her done, kind of thing. It's a very different energy. Now the moon has to have a conversation with the sun. Hi, it's nice to be in your house. How you doing, sun? And of course, sun lights the way. So sun and moon, the sun and the moon will always have a conversation when the moon is in Leo. And in this case, with the trine to Neptune Mars and the sextile to Uranus Jupiter, those are all very sweet. It's learning what it needs to learn from Pluto, and the sun is helping say, I think what Pluto is trying to tell you is you need to change in the following ways. That kind of thing. That's what T-squares mean. Mm-hmm. There's an energy opposite, and then the top of the triangle is the mediator of the conversation, the facilitator, the one that can help say, okay, you're speaking from your heart and you're speaking from your head. This is what you're really trying to tell each other. And then each other goes, oh, okay.
Right.
That's how T-squares work.
how to find a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Monday. So so Monday evening, you have the void of course moon. You have the Monday morning. The moon is still in Cancer. You're probably still productive. You're still also feeling some pressure from the squares. And then as the afternoon hopefully has resolved, and the evening you're like,
Mm-hmm.
And then we're into Tuesday.
Yes. And Tuesday, you know, the moon has actually moved into Leo at that point, so that's helpful, because that T-square sort of dissolves. And, you know, I still notice that Mars and Saturn are there, so taking action in regards to like your business or your money or your system or maybe how you do things or anything like that is definitely applicable here. You may have some sort of like feeling like, so what I can give a little suggestion about that is to try to change your attitude about it. If you have things that you have to do, try to shift your attitude out of like the wet blanket feel, like you're dragging something behind. Like I definitely have things that I have to do that I don't want to do. And so instead of thinking, oh, I have to get this done, I try to go, okay, well, how will I feel after it's done? Like right now, I have to get my taxes stuff done. And I've been procrastinating the hell out of it. And right now I need to think, how will I feel when it's over? Well, other than I probably have to pay something, it will probably feel pretty good. But I'm going to have to pay whether I pay today or pay in 6 months. You have to pay. So, you know, it's a thing. So, you know, I don't know. Some people, you know, I definitely procrastinate the taxes because I just don't like that kind of work. So that kind of like accounting and bookkeeping and crap is like, right? Okay. So, you know, it's just boring and dull to me, but I understand some people like it. That's why I have an accountant. And so, you know, so I'm just saying when you have something that you have to do that sucks, just think how you'll feel when it's done. Oh, right. I can finally get that off my checklist
and connect.
And it's not hanging over my head. Yeah, like really imagine that feeling, and then that will help you take the wet blanket off of that drudgery. Instead, it's like, okay, let's just get this done because I'm gonna feel better when it's over.
And really celebrate. Find yourself celebrating. It's already done. It's already done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, it feels so good to have that done.
Oh, it feels so good to have a clean house, right?
And really connect with the feeling. And then, hopefully, your ability to follow through is just so much easier.
And that's
quicker.
Probably the biggest challenge Monday, Tuesday. There'll be a little bit of a big challenge with that with Mars and Saturn. Okay? Because Mars is in Pisces, and I just feel like it's like throwing a bucket of water on a fire. It's just like okay. And so it's like you want to do something but you have a wet blanket on you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know, the beautiful thing is on Wednesday, and you know, you could really feel this energy, the energy of Jupiter and Uranus together anytime this week, really. And you've probably already kind of been building up to it. It's really a beautiful time for those of us that are ready to manifest and ready to move forward. I would say it could be challenging if you're not on your path. So if you are finding yourself severely challenged by big surprises, financially, resources, life path, things like that, if you start finding a lot of challenge in that regard, like I mean a lot of challenge, that is probably Uranus trying to kick you over onto the other street to get you on your path. Okay? It doesn't mean that you're bad. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. You are a perfect reflection of the universe. So what that means is that right now for you, in the way that your planets are placed, Uranus is asking you to get on your path. Now, if you're already kind of on your path or close to your path, or you're like, I'm pretty sure I have to do this thing, suddenly some good luck is going to come in, and you're going to be like, oh, well, that's great. And then you'll be able to put things in line. You'll be able to line things up and get them done. And that's really Uranus and Jupiter together. It's a gift. It's a benefit. It's going to raise your vibration. You may find that, oh, you'll go, what is this Michael Beckwith? Let me go check this out. And then you're like, oh, Hollis, no wonder you love Michael Beckwith. He is awesome. And the next thing you know, your vibration went from here to here, right? Okay. So you might discover a surprise. You might have a spiritual awakening. You might have a renewal of relationships, good luck in your finances, in money, and how that works out for you. So maybe my taxes will go really well. And, and you know, those kinds of things. That's Uranus and Jupiter together. Okay. And it's going to be a big surprise. And so even if, you know, my accountant comes back and tells me some bad news, I'm going to be like, that's because you're not on your path, Hollis. You got to do better about this bookkeeping thing. Okay. So those are the kinds of things that I'm talking about. Okay. It could be big surprises. And just remember that Uranus is trying to get you on path. Uranus is trying to push you to the direction you are meant to be in. And in Taurus, it often has to do with sensuality, sensitivity, money, resources, luxuries, and also, I think, relationships because of the Venus aspect there.
Yeah. That's what I was going to join. And I wanted to say, let's just review our toolkit. If life is kicking you and you are interpreting life as kicking you because you feel like you're having a hard time, let's change our languaging right there, because that's where I started on January 2nd. You know, I literally felt kicked down, you know, broke my leg, fractured, so much pain and incredible guilt about, boy, have I just thrown a giant monkey wrench into our lives. And then realizing, well, I didn't throw the monkey wrench. I didn't break my leg on purpose. I didn't deliberately choose to fall the hell out of the van. You know?
Last I checked, most people don't choose to break a bone.
Okay, so start by unwinding how you want to beat yourself up. Remember that if you're having a shame storm, the best thing to do is stop whatever you're doing. Take a time out, breathe, do the basics. Have I drank enough water? Do I need something to eat? I haven't breathed any fresh air or felt the sunshine on my face at all today. I'm walking outside right now. Remember, your toolkit is so basic and we forget. It's the first thing we do when we're in trouble. We forget. Then the next thing is ask yourself good questions, not shitty questions, not why me or why does this always happen? Those are shitty questions. Ask yourself really good questions like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I wonder what I'm supposed to learn. What am I not seeing? What's seeking to be recognized? What's trying to emerge? What am I missing? Questions that will help you get to what we will indeed call revelation. What will reveal something that will help you move and take the next step? And remember, we never have to take all the steps at once. Breathe and just say to the universe, because if you need help, all you have to do is say, I could use a little help here. As simple as that. Because if we don't ask, we will never get the help we need. And Spirit, I have heard this so many times in so many different philosophies in life of the universe is here to serve you, but if you never ask, you'll never get the help you need.
Right.
And that most people have no idea what they need, so they never ask. So there's that little conundrum of,
and if you don't know what you need, just be like, could you just help me realize what I need right now so I could ask for what I need?
Let's get real practical. What do I need right now?
Hey, I've done that. I've done it because I have Saturn in Cancer. It happens to me sometimes.
Sure.
I got the moon in the 12th house. Just sometimes I don't know what I need.
It happens to all of us, I think. And that amnesia of suddenly we're in a spot and now all the great advice we've given to others in our life, we can't seem to harness for ourselves. So it's just a little reminder. Hopefully it's helpful. And that conversation between Jupiter and Uranus that's perfecting, it can be lucky, it can be fortunate, it can be big, it can be surprising. I just want to say, and I say this every Let's Dance program, we started doing Let's Dance again, you guys. We did a nursing home yesterday, and we did another one last week. Feels really good to be serving again and lighting up their world. And one of the things I always say at the very end of the program is, you can count your blessings and you'll have more blessings to count. Or you can count your problems and you'll also have more problems to count. Whatever you focus on, you attract more of. So if you stay focused on woe is me, all these shitty things, that's the vibration you stay in on your hamster wheel in your head. But if instead we can just turn a little bit and go, God, I'm so thankful, blah, blah, blah. And that truthfully was one of the first things that happened to me in the fracturing, breaking my leg and falling down and falling out of the van and realizing, oh my God, this could have been so much worse. At least I landed on grass that was super spongy, and all I broke was my legs. Because if it had been anywhere else that we had parked during this trip and it had been cement, very good odds that I would have broken both arms and God knows what else. So there's always something to be thankful for. Thankful for what you don't have, thankful for what you do have, and gratitude will help you find that frequency, that vibrational uplift that you need. And then call on your spirit guide birds. You know I'm a hawk. We've talked a lot about season of the hawk. Get some perspective. That's how you get yourself out of the valleys and the ruts of, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this? So hopefully whoever needed to hear that hears it. I hope it's a blessed ride for you, but we all know that when life gives us a bump, that's usually how we grow. We get stronger, we figure stuff out, we learn, we adjust, we modify, we transform, and we move on. We're capable. Congratulations, y'all. You made it to now. Everything that's ever challenged you, you have made it through. So give yourself some pats on the back.
I did it.
Celebrate yourself and go, I have gotten through a lot.
Yeah. When you think about everything you've been through,
Exactly.
That's
Adds
why there's
up.
nothing to be afraid of. The universe has always got your back. And so that's what we need to remember. So I'm just going to say, if it's going good, just know that you're on the right track. If it's a little bit more challenging, it's just that Spirit's trying to the universe is trying to kind of knock you over into your path. So try not to resist, okay? My biggest concern is that with two fixed signs, with the moon in a fixed sign and Uranus and Jupiter in a fixed sign, that there could be some resistance to change. Try not to resist the change. Just remember this podcast, whatever you need to do to embrace that change, okay? And that's pretty much, and by the time Thursday comes, maybe you might be challenged on Wednesday with, like, I don't know if I can do this, and you have a million excuses as to why. Instead, maybe on Thursday, by then you'll probably come up with some practical reasons as to why. With the moon in Virgo, I would imagine that's going to shift, but I still feel like Jupiter and Uranus are going to be sort of dominating this energy. They're going to dominate.
For sure. I mean, in addition to the solstice, this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, this month, April, is the biggest month of astrology in the year.
Right.
It's like seriously potent energy. And that's one of the reasons why. Yeah. The eclipse was one thing, but this here is, I think it's a 20-year cycle, a 20-year cycle of these two meet.
Something like that.
Like that in this sign. So,
but it's in a different sign each time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what Nadia Shaw said.
It won't happen like this again for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the Leo moon is going to go void on Thursday morning. Mountain time, it'll be 5 a.m. It'll be void until 10 a.m. So give yourself a late start if you can. take your morning exercise class, or make sure you do your morning meditation, or whatever your morning practice is. Like, really linger in it and enjoy it.
On Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, because then the moon goes into Virgo. It's squaring that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, but it's trining the sun. And,
So, yeah, I think you're going to be moving in the direction you want to go. Probably going to find practical feelings. That's what I say. Virgo and the moon,
Right.
Practical.
Right. So again, here's the concept. The moon, when the moon is void at 5 a.m., it's leaving Leo. Leo is fixed fire. Then it's like taking a breath. What do I need? I'm going into mutable earth, which is Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury, as you know, is retrograde and conjunct Chiron and Venus. Chiron on one side and Venus on the other. And so literally, like, think of them sitting around a table having a tight conversation, and who all's at the table? The sun is probably in the kitchen grabbing another dish. Chiron, Mercury, Venus, and the North Node are all totally engaged in one conversation, and they have been for a while. And now you have Mercury is going to be squaring that, and so when the moon is in Virgo, it's answering to Mercury in a square. So there could be conversation.
Think that's a quincunx there.
And then it'll move, how it'll just keep moving.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, and it'll light up that whole
Right,
series
okay.
right there.
All right.
So the practical, Virgo's very practical, very solution oriented. When we think of Virgo, it's earth, and it's grounded, extremely practical, and attention, can pay attention to detail. So whatever action is being
If you haven't planted your seeds yet, plant them.
get it done.
Thursday.
You just might get it done, because now we're in the get it done sign. Virgo is very, I'll just take care of that.
Problem solver.
Don't look to other people when I already know what I need to do, and it needs to just get done.
Right. Yeah.
It's a very good make it happen. Virgo's also very nurturing. A lot of nurses are Virgos, caregivers. It's a very frequent combination. So with Mercury as the ruler, Mercury is currently retrograde. Mercury is all about communication. And so that piece, that conversation might be asking something, might be uncomfortable. I'm not sure.
Maybe you need to review how you planted your seed.
And remember, during Mercury retrograde, it's just going to remind you, review for everyone, because it happens to me all the time. And I am a Mercury retrograde. So I don't feel as... I always feel the Mercury retrograde at the very beginning. It's usually where one of those days is like, I don't know why, but it just is. And the next day is like, oh, okay. And what's funny, in this household, Hollis usually experiences it first, and then the next day I'm feeling it. And just as surprised, because, oh, here we go again. It's like, oh, I know what this is. This is Mercury retrograde, that vibe of difficult to resolve in feeling.
And I think
so what happens, what I wanted to get to, is the Mercury retrograde is often we have to do things twice. But remember, take a breath. Crap, I really didn't want to have to do this again, but now you've learned whatever you needed to learn from the first go round, and the second go round it's going to go better, hopefully faster, and a better outcome. And the result is going to be like, oh wow, I don't know why, but I wrote it better the second time, or I did something better the second time. So I've learned to have a little more patience with myself and try to breathe through the first screw up, because it's just going to happen. So the sooner we kind of go, oh well, okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And this one, Hollis, is super awesome teacher by example, patient, great at saying, okay, just immediately forgive yourself and let's just do it again.
Well, and that has a lot to do with the vibration shift that I've been working on with Michael Beckwith and in general, overly, like with yoga and stuff in the last few years. And that's why I love that quote by Michael Beckwith, when suddenly you kind of develop a non-reaction to things that are relatively negative, or things that appear negative. And I don't have that quote quite right. I just posted it on my Facebook. So if you're my friend, you'll find it on there. And it's got like a weird picture. And essentially what it means is that you start to recognize that life is life. And like, I just was growing, I started seeds way back in March, trying to grow plants inside. It's really hard to grow at altitude. There's a variety of challenges. And I also, have worms that eat my vegetables and make what we call black gold. And
vermicomposting.
Yeah, it's really great. But what I've learned is that you don't want to put that in your seed mixture. Because so I don't see things as a failure. So I was growing all of the month of March, and then into April. I think I even started in February. And we got to April, and I'm like, Mercury retrograde, and I'm like, man, none of these plants are growing. Like, they came out of the soil, and they're like this big, and nothing's growing, and it's getting this weird mold on it. What the hell is going on? And so I did some research. I spent some time listening to some videos about seed starters on YouTube and about managing a greenhouse and growing. I'm really good at growing outdoors. I'm not so great at growing indoors. I've always struggled with it. And so now I'm learning how to grow indoors, not struggle with it. I'm learning how to overcome the struggles in a good way. And so when I realized I had to replant all of these seedlings and restart everything. I have one rosemary plant that's like this big.
For something, it's tiny.
And I'm like, all right, I'll replant it and see what happens. And I'm just kind of experimenting with it, so I'm not attached to its life. And I'm not attached to any of the plants that I grow. I hope that some of them grow, because I'd like to have indoor herbs. I bought like a light shelf to grow these herbs and grow my vegetables to go outside eventually. And it's a lot of work, okay? And I had to completely undo everything I did and start over. And I was just like, an apparent non-reaction to relative negativity. And I could have been pissed off. I could have spent a lot of time on it. But instead, I just said, okay, well, I guess that's why I had to start really early. I guess I had to learn that lesson. All right, lesson learned. Don't do that again. Let's see if this different, don't put the worm composting in the seed starter, see if that helps. And so we're going to find out. And that was just a few days ago, just when Mercury went into retrograde. So, so I'm just saying that I don't like to waste my energy. So sometimes I don't feel like some things are worth getting upset about.
I find it incredibly impressive. I can be a little hothead. I'll totally admit it. You guys know I have Mars on my ascendant. I have a Leo moon. I'm a Sag sun. That's fire, and some fire. But what we've learned is that when my fire does get triggered, from a reaction perspective, I burn out really quickly. I don't last long.
She gets over it in like, you could set your watch to like a 5-minute timer and be okay.
And hopefully it's gotten down to like 30 seconds where it's just, and mostly what I've realized is what a waste of energy it is, and how I'm not proud of myself. It definitely can trigger a shame storm of, why did you do that? Shame on you. And I don't want to do that. So the sooner I get to the place of, I don't want to behave like that, let's not do it at all, the faster we get to, okay, what did we learn? What am I missing? How can I do better? Okay, let's go. So and I've just marveled at Hollis's ability to go, oh, okay. And just, that's it. It's like, are you serious? You spent hours on that stuff. And And so I was just completely like, wow. And then they just sat down and spent several hours researching, and then several hours undoing everything they had done, and several hours redoing everything.
Yeah,
And
I
they were
moved
like,
the shelf
okay,
away from the door.
This is what I learned.
Maybe I was
learned,
getting a draft. Who knows?
and they just
Yeah.
took stock of the lessons and ba-doom, ba-doom. And I was super impressed.
So pray for my seeds. I hope they work this time. I'm still optimistic. Okay. So, but that's Uranus on my ascendant. Okay. Now, let me just say, when I wasn't on my path, and I definitely had an overreaction to things and stuff like that. So this has not come just because my chart is set up that way.
No, you've worked to become this person.
I've worked for this.
And we
okay?
both have 12th house stelliums. Remember, stellium means more than 3 planets or more. We both have a multitude of planets in the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of spirituality, self-sabotage, enemies.
Do you have stuff in your 12th house?
It can be a real undoing sign. So an immature version might have been, screw this, and like throwing the plants into the forest.
What a waste of energy.
Hell with this.
What a waste of energy.
See how hard this is? It's impossible. Could have totally happened.
I probably would have gave up. But so one of the things I noticed in the zodiac, so if you notice that you're doing the shadow thing of whatever zodiac it is, where you're like, I am, okay, if you want to change it, do the light of that thing. So in the 12th house, the shadow is, of course, self-sabotage. So if you're sabotaging the shit out of yourself, then try to do more spirituality. Because that is, and psychic stuff. Try to tap into your psychic ability. So in the 8th house, it's, it could be like if you're engaging in what we would call the shadow of it, if you don't want to engage in the shadow of it anymore, try to engage in things that are higher vibrating, like the occult, astrology, and things like that. So I pretty much find that pretty much applies to every zodiac and every house. So if you find yourself engaging in the shadow part of it and you're like, I don't like that very much, and you want to shift it, just find the light of that sign, find the more positive, higher vibration of it, and it will be easier for you to express, and it will be a better version of yourself. So that's pretty much how I shift things. You are not stuck on the shadow because of a placement. It just means that that's a challenge for you, and now you need to shift it, and that's how you shift it. That's how I help people all the time. I look at their chart and I go, well, so what you need to do is, okay, and so the more people that they engage in that light, the more they want to not engage in the shadow side of it, okay? So then that's usually how it works. On the 19th, again, we still have that conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus this week. It's a really big deal. It's going to pretty much dominate the week.
Happy birthday, Taurus!
Yeah, because the sun's finally moving into Taurus, which I feel like is just going to light up that conjunction. It's just going to go. So if you didn't notice it yet, it's going to probably be noticeable by Friday. So, because the sun's just going to shine, like I always think of the sun as your flashlight. And so it's the one that's leading you through things. So it's just going to go on that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. Okay, so that's pretty much happy birthday, Tauruses. Right?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Saturday?
Yep.
Of course, the sun is still in Taurus, is moving deeper into Taurus, moving towards that conjunction. I'm thinking about when it gets in there later on when
it joins that party
in another week or two. It's going to light that up. It's going to light that up. Probably in similar to whatever you're feeling now, will probably be stronger later on in a couple of weeks when the sun gets there. So and looks like the moon is coming to the end in Virgo, and there's a kite in the sky. It will form just before it, as its last aspect, eh?
Yeah, so the moon in the evening it's a Virgo gibbous moon. You can see the moon is almost across the sky. So, of course, when this moon and the sun are across the sky from each other, that's what makes a full moon. And the moon is going to leave Virgo on Saturday afternoon, and it'll go void of course at 6:19 Mountain Time until 9:08, and then p.m., and then it goes into Libra. So when the moon does that, I'm just going to keep emphasizing it because it's a good way to learn it. That's how I learned it. Virgo is a mutable sign, and Virgo is an earth sign. So the moon is going from mutable earth into cardinal fire, which is what Libra is. Libra initiates...
Cardinal air, yeah.
Sorry, cardinal air. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Libra initiates the fall season, as Hollis was saying at the beginning. And so Libra is ruled by Venus. There's only one planet that rules two signs, and that's Venus. Venus rules Libra, and it also rules Taurus. And we've been
where all that other action is going on.
We've been talking a lot about Taurus. Taurus is very popular today, and so is Venus. And so when the moon moves into Libra, it'll be answering to Venus, and then it'll do an opposition to Neptune and Mars in Pluto. Right now it's in that opposition until it leaves, and then once it's in Libra, it'll start to line up with the party in Aries. But yeah, so
yeah, I think we're really gonna be focused on money this week. So I'm not surprised that taxes are due with all this energy, and Taurus and Libra and Venus. It's
What do you value?
very much about money and values and resources.
yeah.
So Sunday is pretty much a similar energy, except that the moon is actually in Libra. So at this point, you're really going to be probably paying attention to your finances and hopefully working on that.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a problem for you. I wish the best.
Yeah. Well, and you have a trine to Pluto, so hopefully it's positive transformation, especially with that Jupiter-Uranus. Hopefully that you're seeing the blessings, you're seeing what you need to do, you're making whatever corrections or adjustments you need to make, and you're like, awesome.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want for you. I want to hear you at the end of the week go, awesome.
All right.
Do you have any questions, LeKross, or any comments to add?
No. I mean, that was pretty interesting. It's coming off of the eclipse and seeing how that all plays now. Okay, so we are leaving the hawk season and we are headed towards the beaver season here in the north. But I wanted to share a little bit of southern. Like every indigenous culture has medicine wheels, and all of them are different, even whether the elements, everything is different, which goes to show how unique and personalized medicine wheel can be. So the one I've been working for my people, the medicine wheel at this point in time is the salamander, and it's not the hawk. And we actually go 3 months in that season, because we have wet season and dry season. So it's not winter, summer, all that. It's just wet season, dry season. So, but right now we would be going into the dry season and the salamander. And what I found interesting is you were talking about unexpected, being forced on your path, and salamanders represent unexpected transformations. They're shapeshifters. They are in the water and on land. And there are points in times where they'll even lose their gills and spend their life on land, or they'll leave the land and produce gills and go back into the water. So they're kind of like, they're very transformative amphibians. And what's interesting is they're a shapeshifter because they look like a lizard, but they're not a lizard. So so it goes into the whole transformation thing. But what I found was interesting is that they're a lot about shadow work, and they rely a lot on their senses. And this seems like a time of, like you were saying, you got to be willing to do that work, do the shadow work, and trust your gut that you're going in the right direction. But if you're not going in the right direction, that unexpected transformation is going to come, and because it's the salamander. It's going to happen whether you want it or not. That's why it's unexpected. So just be ready to be for an unexpected transformation to come. So I just thought that's really cool how much it coincides. And then going into Taurus, which is the beaver, and now it's a matter of cultivating, building. Now it's about starting to prepare to build. You were saying about the seeds. It's time to start building. Me, I'm skipping the seeds. I'm just going straight to the plants, and I'm just going to plant the plants because I'm just like, I just, every time I try it, I kill it. I'm hoping I don't
totally get it.
It's not easy.
Totally get it, man. And you know what? So, one thing at a time.
Yes, exactly. I said, I can't do the seeds, but I think I could do the plants. I'm going to try plants this year. So, and that's unexpected for me because I don't garden for nothing. I'm just like, I'll go to the store and buy it. I'm like, no, but this time I'm gonna take a chance. So.
It is very rewarding when you are successful.
Yeah. There
have been times that I have gotten like cans and cans and cans of tomatoes and things like that. Real freaking blessing. And especially when you're like, fall season, putting away a dozen jars of tomatoes.
Yeah.
And maybe freezing some. I will say a tip on if you grow lots of zucchini. And an indigenous way of planting is to plant zucchini and corn. Oh my gosh, zucchini, corn, and beans. And I have done that. That beans are easy seed. If you were going to do a seed, you could just put them right in the ground. They usually will grow. And what happens is the beans grow up the corn. And I did several Three Sisters gardens, and every time I did them, it was a success. And Three Sisters, that's what they're called, Three Sisters gardens. And Three Sisters gardens are just beautiful in North America.
Yes.
And I would just say that if you do get lots of zucchini for some reason, because sometimes people get way more than they need, I would make the recipe and then freeze it. Don't freeze just zucchini. Right. But that's how you put zucchini aside, is you make the recipe. So you can make the stew, you could make the zucchini bread or whatever, and then freeze it. Don't try to freeze the zucchini. It doesn't turn out well.
Right.
No. That's my experience.
I loved what Hollis said the other day. Farmers are the ultimate optimists.
Yeah.
Because
definitely
they're still trying. We've had, I don't know how many non-functioning, we have tried. Like Hollis said, altitude gardening is no joke. It's a very short season, and then you finally get something growing, and you have voles, squirrels, chipmunks, the moose, the deer, any number of them will destroy your garden at any opportunity they can have.
In about an hour, yeah.
What kind of bean? You're talking
boxes
about?
And
what kind of what?
I was a little curious because you said bean. What kind of bean would go with that? Like a green bean?
Oh, any kind of bean, like green beans or peas. Don't do them because they'll die when it gets hot in Pennsylvania. But usually, what I would grow is green beans, and sometimes if you go into the store, they'll have these super long beans.
Oh yeah,
they actually are really easy to grow. They're an heirloom. They're really long, and I think they're called long beans or something. I actually got the seeds from this woman that does a thing in Pennsylvania, and that's what she told me, that they were easy to grow. And I grew them up the corn because it doesn't matter what kind of beans, any kind of beans, just like it doesn't matter what kind of squash, but I would suggest you do yellow and zucchini, yellow squash, summer squash, and zucchini. Okay. Because they're the easiest. So I'm trying to give you the easiest.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Yeah, and you know what you could do is you could do popcorn instead of corn, because corn like this is, unless you get heirloom seeds, it's GMO. And it's a pain in the ass, and it'll be high disease and things like that. It won't do
popcorn seeds?
But if you get heirloom popcorn seeds, which just looks like corn, but it's popcorn, so it won't be the kind of corn you eat on an ear or you eat with your Mexican meal. It will be corn that you eat like popcorn. So you'll get a bunch of popcorn, you'll dry it out and put it in a jar and put it on your shelf, and you have popcorn in the middle of the winter. You just put a little oil in the bottom of a pan, put one layer. You probably know how to make popcorn from scratch. So that's what I do, because I didn't want to grow, unless you find heirloom corn, and that would be the other choice. But I'll just tell you that corn has been so screwed with. So now this is going to turn into a gardening show.
What's the tarot deck today?
Next week's episode.
Let's get to the tarot.
Oh my goodness.
Show's going to be 4 hours.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So let's pin this up so you guys can see it. This first card is this is the 10 of Cups, which in most decks is a celebration of love and togetherness, commitment, and that's exactly what this is. You can see it kind of looks like pride. It's very much about things that you make together with others, and this is a reminder of things that you've come together with your lover or your spouse or your partner or your whatever, anyone, friend or whatever, and things that you've made in the past and how you have created things. This is about the things you've created together in a good way. And that's exactly what this is about. And this is a really good card. You know, think pride, think finding your lover, think, you know, having babies or other things. It doesn't have to be about having actual children. It could be about other things that you make together, okay? And the next is the Page of Cups, which is, I think in most decks, but now I've forgotten, is mostly very much about the third eye. This is about intuition in a really heavy way. This always makes me think of Pisces, maybe because the fish is there and the cat is there. And I think every Pisces I know, no, not every Pisces. A lot of Pisces I know enjoy cats. But anyway, not every, but a lot. And so this sort of kitty, and cats tend to have a really interesting intuition. I don't know, you know, and anyone that's ever lived with a cat has probably witnessed this intuition. They do have a strong intuition, but you can see that the fish is there sort of projecting onto their third eye. And that's what this is about. This is about that emotional intuition. Allow that to lead you forward. Allow that to guide you like a cat is guided by their intuition, you know, and that's really what this is about. This is about being guided by your intuition, especially like spring intuition, those kinds of things. And going forward into the future, this is like deep into pride country here. This is all about love. This is the Lover's card. Aww. And this is about the love and the beauty and the celebration. So I'm really thinking about these three cards together and, you know, the love and the celebration and the support and feeling like you can really go forward with a lot of support and liberty and freedom and going forward. Like, that's really what this is about. So when you think about all three cards, you come together really quickly with, you know, that this card is about what you've already made. And so a reminder of what you've already done with your friends or your lovers or your partner or whoever that you've partnered up with and created some things, that those things keep following your intuition with the Page of Cups. Follow your intuition, because if you follow that intuition, it's going to lead you into a beautiful, beautiful celebration that is just full of love and support. And so this is a really positive reading, really much about freedom. And so I'm really hopeful for all of us queers out there, because if you didn't know, I didn't mention it, but Uranus is a queer planet. Oh, yeah. And Uranus rules queerness, okay? It doesn't mean every person with a certain Uranus placement is queer. That's silly. That's not astrology. That's weird. And so, you know, it rules queerness. It rules strangeness, unusualness. And if you're queer, you probably want to take a look at Uranus. Take a look at it, because not only is it about strange or weird spot, but it's also about your life path. In other words, you were meant to be queer. You're supposed to be transgender. You're supposed to be a gender bender. sexually fluid, pansexual, gender fluid, whatever, however it comes out for you, I guarantee it's in your chart. And I would say that I think a lot of people think that it's like a curse or something, and it's not. It's actually spirit asking you to do something very special in relation to your life path. And I have a friend of mine who's about to publish their queer book. So I would say that now is the time with this Uranus Jupiter conjunction. If you have something queer to get out there, something strange, something weird, something authentic, individual, do it. Now's the time. Spring is the time. Okay, now is the time. And I have a friend that's going to publish their story. They're queer. He's transgender, and so he's going to publish his story about his transgender experience. And I think, yes, now is the time. Now is the time. Okay.
And remember, Uranus rules Aquarius, so all Aquarians are going to be feeling this Uranus-Jupiter conjunction for sure.
Yeah.
And Jupiter...
And Taurus.
Jupiter is, Taurus, of course, because it's happening in Taurus. And Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so Sagittarius is going to be feeling it in a particular way. These are the things we look for when we're looking at your chart, like, oh, Mm-hmm. So we're all in this together. We have all chosen to incarnate at a very special time in the universe, on this planet, and everyone is required. Everyone is needed. Everyone has a special job to do. We're counting on you to do your job. We're applauding you to do your job. We're all saying, yay, go team! And I believe when we are all celebrated, when people feel seen and loved, and they're on their path and heard and doing the things they're meant to do, boy, does the world become a brighter place. It gives you hope, it gives you energy, it gives you excitement about starting each day. So that's my prayer and wish for all of us.
All right.
Thanks for such great interpretation. That was an incredible reading.
Yeah, it's pretty positive and totally awesome. So I just want to say this week could be really awesome for a lot of us. Please like, comment, let us know how
Really
this transition's going for you. Has Uranus kicked you onto your path? I hope you're on there. So enjoy. Have a great week.
All right. Thanks for watching Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoyed this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.